There was once a man and a woman who'd been married for 60 years. They'd shared everything, they'd talked about everything, they'd kept no secrets from one another, except that the older woman had a shoebox in the top of her wardrobe, and she'd warned her husband never to open it or to ask her about it. And for all these years, he'd never thought anything about the box. But one day, the old lady was getting ill. Her time had come. The doctors had warned her that she didn't have long left. And so her husband was keen to sort out all her affairs. And he took down the shoebox and he took it to his wife's bedside. And she agreed that he should be allowed to open it and know what was in the box. When he opened it, he found 2 crochet doilies and a stack of money coming to £25,000. He was curious and he asked her about it. And she said, well, when we were engaged, my grandmother told me that the secret of a happy marriage was never to argue. She told me if I ever got angry with you, I should just keep quiet and crochet a doily. And the old man was so moved he had to fight back tears. There were only 2 doilies in the box. All those years, the 60 years they'd been together, she'd only been angry with him 2 times. Darling, he said, that explains the doilies. But what about all this money? Where did that come from? Oh, she said, that's the money I made from selling all the doilies. I wonder what secrets you might be hiding like the old lady. Maybe it's something from your dim and distant past, your wild exploits as a teenager perhaps. Or maybe it's something more recent. Maybe it's the location of your secret stash of toilet rolls. Whatever it might be, the message of this psalm is that there is one person from whom you can't hide any secrets. God knows everything there is to know about us. He knows everything we do, sitting, rising, going out, and lying down. He knows all our thoughts. He even knows things about us before we know them ourselves. Before a word is on our tongue, the Lord knows it completely. Now, you may find that a scary idea. I've got lots of thoughts that I definitely wouldn't want to share with other people. But potentially, it could also be a very comforting idea. Because we all want relationships where we can be totally open and honest with people, where we can just be ourselves with no pretense and nothing to hide. Whether it's with a close friend, a spouse, or another family member, we crave that feeling that we can let our guard down, take off our masks, and just be totally relaxed. But one of the things that stops us is fear of someone else's reaction. Will our honesty cause them to reject us? Would they still want a relationship with us if they knew what we were really like? But in this psalm, God assures us that he's not going anywhere. Indeed, there's no getting away from him. If we ascend to the heights of joy or plunge into the depths of despair, God will be there with us. Even if we could run away to the ends of the earth, God would still be keeping hold of us and leading us forward. Even the darkness doesn't allow us to hide from God. He still sees us clearly, warts and all, and he won't let go of us. Now, we may lose sight of him if we find ourselves in a dark place, but he is still there for us, still looking out for us. We can't push God away by being honest with him. He already knows us better than we know ourselves. There are no secrets, because he was the one who created us, who knit each of us together in our mother's womb, as verse 13 puts it. And he did an amazing job. Each of us is fearfully and wonderfully made, as verse 14 tells us. I should maybe just explain the word fearfully, because we often use it in English in quite a negative way, as in he made a fearful mess of that kitchen. But the Hebrew word used here has that sense of causing astonishment and awe. So what this verse is really telling you is, you are totally awesome. You might not feel like that, especially if you fall into the trap of making comparisons with other people. But that is what God is telling you through this psalm. You, the unique individual that you are, You are fearfully and wonderfully made. Now, you may not feel that if you're struggling with ill health or other life-limiting conditions, but you are still an amazing creation, made in the image of the one who brought the universe into being. Ephesians 2:10 describes us as God's handiwork, although I love the way the New Living Translation puts it. We are God's masterpiece. But here's the thing. Although we may be a work of art, we're also an unfinished work of art. Verse 16 is telling us that God has a plan for our lives. Sometimes we rail against that idea. We want to be independent, the masters of our own destiny. But in the current context, perhaps it's comforting to know that someone else has a plan for us. I can't tell you what that plan is. I wish I could turn around to you and say that we'll all get through this current crisis unscathed, that it would all be just fine and we'll be back to normal in a few weeks. But I don't know that. But I do know that God's plan covers not just the next few weeks or months, but all of eternity. Paul told the Corinthians that no eye has seen, no ear has heard, and no mind has imagined what God has prepared for those who love him. But we do actually get a little bit of a sneak preview right at the end of the Bible, in the final couple of chapters of the book of Revelation, where we are told that God's home will be among his people. He will wipe every tear from their eyes, and there will be no more death or sorrow or crying or pain, for all these things will be gone forever. That is God's long-term plan for us, his eternal plan, a plan made possible through Jesus. We just need to put our faith in him. And there's part of me that just wants to finish this message right there. But I'm conscious that we actually only read 3/4 of the psalm earlier. We stopped after verse 18 because the psalm changes gear very dramatically in the next few verses in a way that, well, didn't seem very appropriate for Mothering Sunday. But actually, I think the next verses are very relevant today for reasons that I'll explain in a few moments. So let's hear verses 19 to 22. If only you, God, would slay the wicked. Away from me, you who are bloodthirsty. They speak of you with evil intent. Your adversaries misuse your name. Do I not hate those who hate you, Lord, and abhor those who are in rebellion against you? I have nothing but hatred for them. I count them my enemies. Well, don't say I didn't warn you. David goes from a place of feeling comfortable and cozy, intimate with God, to a place where suddenly he is overwhelmed with fear and anger. There are things that are happening out there that are not right, and they have shattered his peace and contentment. Perhaps we can relate to that just now, even if the enemy we face isn't made of flesh and blood. David's reaction here may seem rather out of line with the words of Jesus that we should love our enemies, but they are a very honest and human reaction to his situation. They show us that it is okay to express our raw emotions to God. He's big enough to deal with them. Indeed, he appreciates our honesty. And the very act of expressing his feelings to God seems to help David move forward from his place of turmoil. Let's listen to the last 2 verses of this psalm.